Do you ever feel like you're juggling a million versions of yourself and still dropping the ball? Like you're switching hats all day, professional, partner, parent, friend, and no one really sees what it takes to just be you? Yeah, me too. Welcome to Hat Rack with Hannah. I'm Hannah, therapist, entrepreneur, author, podcast host, and also a mom, partner, daughter, friend, basically a professional hat wearer. I created this space where you don't have to minimize what you're carrying or rush past it. Because the truth is, you can have big dreams and feel overwhelmed by the roles it takes to hold them. Both get to exist. Here we slow it down, call it what it is, take some hats off, and figure out what actually belongs in your rack. So take a deep breath. You can set something down here, and let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Hat Rack with Hannah. I'm really excited to deep dive into our topic of this month, which is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, moms. This episode is going to be very authentic and very real and give you kind of a taste of how this pod is going to go. And this pod is not ever anything that's going to be the highlight reel that we see on social media, for example. I really believe in authenticity, like I've said before, and this is going to feel that way. So it's not going to be all the things that we want to hear or that we're used to seeing. It's going to be more of the hard conversations. Just wanted to give you all that disclaimer. And if that doesn't sound like something you want to listen to, that's okay. Mother's Day. Mother's Day gets packaged as this beautiful brunch-filled, gratitude-soaked day. But for a lot of people, it's complicated as hell. We're talking about the mixed emotions that don't always make sense. The invisible load that doesn't magically just appear just because it's your day. And the grief that can sit right next to the gratitude. And they can sit right next to another. And that's okay. We're getting into the parts that don't get enough space. Like what this day feels like if your relationship with your mom is complicated, or if you've lost her, or if becoming a mom hasn't gone the way you thought it would. We're also going to challenge the pressure of what it means to be a good mom, talk about setting boundaries without spiraling into guilt, and come back to something I think a lot of us need to hear. You are more than the roles you carry. You are more than the hats that you wear. And if this day feels heavy, I've got you. We'll walk through a few simple, realistic ways to move through it without adding more pressure. This is Hat Rack with Hannah, where we tell the truth about all the hats we're carrying, even on the days that are supposed to feel the most meaningful. Let's get into the emotional whiplash of Mother's Day. So, a lot of things can have two parts and sit next to each other, just like gratitude and grief, right? We can also have love and resentment. We can have gratitude and exhaustion. We can have joy and grief. And I start with that because I want to name that mixed emotions are psychologically normal. That's okay. For example, when it comes to nervousness and anxiety, they're on the same parallel. We're right here. They just differ with what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. And a lot of times when we're holding two things at once, it can feel very similarly, and that's okay. Two feelings can exist at the same time. Five feelings can exist at the same time. We're allowed to feel multiple things. And normally, when we're growing, caregiving, or having relationships, there's conflicting feelings. For example, when my toddler says she wants something and I say no, or when she's doing unsafe things and I'm like, we can't be doing that, right? She thinks she's having fun and doing something safe. I'm like, hey, this is unsafe. That's disappointing. But those emotions can all be held together and at once. It's not a dysfunction, it's a depth. When you notice you're feeling multiple things at once, it is that you are a deep person and that your depth of emotions are there. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's normalize that very quickly. Shame, though, I think shows up often when we're not following the script, right? So something must be wrong with me is something I hear a lot of clients say, and friends and humans, right? Or like, why am I irritated when I should be feeling lucky that I have a child? Or why do I feel sad when this is supposed to be a happy day? Shame silences us oftentimes. And that isn't fair. We don't talk about holding both and holding both being okay. Shame can thrive in unrealistic expectations. And oftentimes we're evaluating what our emotional script is. It's like the cultural expectations or the social media highlights versus the real life. And so we really want to nail into like, what's our script for the day? What emotions are we going to need to feel? For example, if you've lost a mother, right? We know we're going to have a huge grief day. But let's say we also are a mother and our kid wants to follow societal norms and celebrate us. Okay, we're going to feel celebrated, or we're going to be told we're going to feel celebrated while also holding grief. And you're allowed to do both. And that's completely okay. You're not doing it wrong. You're having a human experience. Things in reality are messy and layered, and there's nothing wrong with that. People think they're supposed to only feel grateful on this day or joyful or fulfilled, but motherhood has so many layers. When you first have a child, your identity completely shifts. What you knew before is now not a thing. It is pre-post child, right? It is pre-post pregnancy, pre-post trauma if it occurred for you. And a big part that we need to hone in on and remember is no one's experience was better, worse, insert whatever here that we can compare to. That's not fair. And so when we're talking about grief, it's not just the physical loss of someone else, it's also the emotional toll that motherhood takes on us when parts of our identity start disappearing or there's enough room for. And it's not always a bad thing, and sometimes it is. So that's another form of grief we can feel on that day, for example, right? But you are not doing it wrong. You're just having a human experience. You can still love deeply and feel overwhelmed. You can be grateful and still need space. Both get to exist here. So I want to invite my listeners to really soften your judgment of yourself and allow the actual feelings that you're feeling come up for you on this day. Be in touch with yourself, feel through your feelings, and recognize what's coming up for you. Another part of Mother's Day that we never talk about or bring light to because, mothers are supposed to just do it all, right? Is the invisible load that we carry on a daily basis. The hats that no one actually sees. The mental load, the emotional regulation, the planning, the anticipating everybody's needs all at once, all the time. Even on Mother's Day, a lot of moms are still managing the day, right? Burnout doesn't just disappear because it's a holiday. The resentment that builds when care isn't reciprocated. So, for example, let's just call it a normal day, right? You were just working and you get a call and kiddo is sick. So you have to go pick them up. And your partners can't. Like it's on you. So you have to cancel your entire day. But what else are you going to do? You're a mom. So you go pick your kid up while you're trying to cancel your entire day, while you're trying to plan for what y'all are going to eat later, but also plan, okay, do we need to go to the doctor? What medications do we need? What are the symptoms? All while you're just driving to go get to your kiddo. And then we get the kiddo, and it's like we're still canceling people. We're still trying to figure out what we need to do for our kiddo. This is so much emotional labor, and we don't talk about that. This is exhausting, anxiety provoking, overstimulating, the invisible load we don't know we're carrying. So, like when you get the question from your partners at the end of the day, how was your day? It was a mess. And this, and this. Well, that's just what we need to do, though, right? So, today, I also want you to acknowledge this invisible load that we have and how much more you actually are carrying in this role of motherhood. And while you are coordinating with your other hats and seeing how they all play out. The invisible load is a big part that plays into burnout and plays into identity shifts, plays into our capacity and how we manage other relationships. So it's something to notice today. Another piece to this, there's a few pieces to this, are people who feel left out of the narrative on Mother's Day. Everyone sees the posts, right? The Happy Mother's Day, but if you lost a mother, you're estranged from a mother, you've had infertility or pregnancy loss, you've been wanting to be a mom and you aren't one, complicated and painful maternal relationships. And it's really important to acknowledge all those things because there are people being left out of this Hallmark narrative. If we were celebrating Mother's Day authentically, everyone would be included. I don't know how that would look, to be honest. I think it would need to really depend on what the individual person needs, who and what their individual experience is. But this is also where we shift away from the Hallmark piece and we include these people in our narrative, not just on social media, but in real life, and really tap into what they need. For example, I have a friend who lost a mom. And so every year on Mother's Day, I text her, hey, what do you need today? And of course, she says nothing or she doesn't know, right? Because what the hell do we know? Like, we don't know what the hell we need when we are grieving. And so then normally I will send her flowers or cookies, specifically crumble, or chocolates, or I'll just call her and FaceTime her. It's the acknowledgement, it's that we're giving a fuck. And it's doing so not just the year after someone's passed, but continuing to do it and making it a part of your Mother's Day. I also have friends and I've seen clients who really struggle with their moms. And a lot of the piece that we work through is like, okay, do I even reach out or do I not? What serves me? What doesn't serve me? And then it's like, I wish I could just reach out. I wish it was just this easy. So it's really listening to your gut on what those friends need, what you need when you're in that space. You know, having those conversations, going to maybe you go to brunch the day before, the Saturday before Mother's Day, and you talk with a friend, hey, I just really don't know if I'm going to reach out this year. Or I know I'm estranged from my mom and I haven't talked to them in a while, but I feel like I do want to reach out. Having the conversations with your humans, that's really important and that's what they're there for, but we often don't enter that space. Another really important one to highlight is friends with infertility and pregnancy loss. Sometimes they want to be acknowledged, and you'll know who those people are, and sometimes they don't. So instead of ever assuming in any of these instances for people who feel out of the narrative, instead of assuming what they need, ask them directly. And if they can't give you an answer, support them in ways that you know will feel good to them. Is someone going to get mad at cookies? No. Someone going to get mad at flowers? No. But do they really? They might, depending on who they are, just need a phone call or for you to send a heart emoji and nothing else, and they'll know what you're saying. So really tap into first what they need. And if they can give you that answer, great. And if they can't, what they love, because that's helpful, or just the acknowledgement, send the heart, have the breakfast on Saturday, knowing Sunday is going to be hard for that person. We can do those things and really help those who feel left out of this Mother's Day narrative feel loved and seen and valued and heard. That is our role. So this one I could talk about all day, and you will be hearing this throughout the pod in many different ways. I am sure of it. So on this day, on Mother's Day, I also want us to name this whole bullshit narrative of being a good mom. Let's take the pressure off, right? We have in 2026, moms in 2026 specifically, we have so much more to compare to. Social media gives you everything you should be doing. Gentle parenting, hard parenting, anything you could think of, social media is going to give you an opinion on it, right? Just because you're doing things how work and fit best with you doesn't mean you're a bad mom. Period. When things work for you and for your child, you are doing well. You are the good mom. This whole narrative of perfection doesn't serve anybody, and it also stresses more people out and has more anxiety laced in it than it does being helpful. If things work for you and your kid, that is all you need. Period. Your kids don't need a perfect mom. They need a regulated one, a real one who really works through things. For example, oftentimes when I work with moms, it's like, damn it, I had a really hard day and I cried in the car, and then my kids saw that. And I'm like, okay, And they're like, well, my kid saw me crying. What do you mean, okay? And I'm like, oh, you mean your kid saw you coping with hard emotions and you're upset about it? And they're like, well, we are giving them an example that we're setting. And sometimes that comes with our own regulation. It's completely okay to show your children that you also have emotions. Hold that, sit with that. And it's just an example, though, right? That makes you a good mom. You melted down. You cried over something that was nothing. What an incredible example to your kids that they can feel how they feel and be accepted and valued. I love that. And I just want to burst the hinges off the door that there is no such thing as a good mom or a perfect mom. It's how you strive to be the best mom you can be by doing things that work for you and your family and your kid and being your authentic self and teaching your children that they can be safe and authentic with you. That's my definition of best mom, anyways. Mother's Day is also really difficult, and we need to remember that we're allowed to have boundaries and not spiral out on them. So, for example, oftentimes there's a lot of expectations on what we're supposed to do on Mother's Day. Family tradition of we go to brunch on Mother's Day. Or, great example, I have a very close friend whose family lives in town, and it's like, okay, Mother's Day morning, we go south, and then for the evening, we go north. And it's like a lot of commuting, a lot of driving, and that's really hard, right? And so we are allowed to set boundaries. Hey, this Mother's Day, I actually don't want to do that. Let's do something Saturday with the South crew and Sunday with the North crew. But actually, I'm about to be a mom, or I'm going to be a mom, or I am a mom. So I actually am going to do something for me today. And if you'd like to join me, come join me. Set the boundaries and remember the day is about you. So what do you want? What fuels your cup? For example, on Mother's Day, one thing I've really enjoyed, and my daughter's only 19 months, right? So keep that in mind. But my favorite thing with my daughter is park dates, not with my partner, with her and I. Go to the park near our house. We could be there for 15 minutes sometimes, right? Or 3 hours. But it's her and I going down the slide again and again and again and again. And it's my favorite thing in the world. So for my Mother's Day, I will be at the park and I am going to make a gap for at least 2 hours where I get to spend that time with her. Now, am I supposed to be doing other things? Sure. But I'm going to fill my cup first because that's my job. And I want to teach my daughter that that's what I want her to do. The day can look different than tradition, and there's nothing wrong with that. We can keep it low key this year. That doesn't work for me, but I'd love to connect another time. Set those boundaries and allow your needs to be met on that day. Looping back into something I was talking about earlier when it comes to identity shifts within motherhood. When you become a mom, your identity shifts. And you were a whole person before you put this hat on, and you still are underneath this hat. So when we are reflecting on being a mom and motherhood, you were a whole person before this hat, and you still are underneath it. So we can also take this day to really reflect on small ways you can feel like you again, or how we cannot lose ourselves in caregiving roles, or why connecting with you matters. A lot of my clients, friends, humans in my life who I say this to laugh and hate it, but you actually have to fill your cup first so you can then fill the cup of everybody else around you. It is actually that important. And I am not saying that in a way that I'm great at it. I'm not. I'm imperfect. And it's probably my biggest challenge on a daily basis is putting into myself so I can give it to everybody else. And that's just what I'm about. You don't have to even give it to everybody else. So we really want to tap into who are we outside of motherhood and what feels good and what doesn't. Are we all motherhood? Oof. Okay. That doesn't feel good. So what are small things we can do? Is it, man, I want to write a book. So I'm going to take half an hour at nap time or bedtime and I'm going to start getting back into creative writing. It can be, I'm a Bravo girl. I am a Bravo girly. Okay. This is my thing. If you want to talk Bravo shows with me, if you want to send me a hat rack submission about Bravo, I am all over it. I'm your girl. Let's go. But let's say part of what makes you feel you is you watch that Real Housewives that you watched since college. Okay, make time for it. If you're a person who needs physical activity for you to feel like, okay, I have my body feels strong and good to me, and me spending that 30 minutes, however many minutes a day to do that means I'm caring for myself, then do that. Also, want to name when we first have children, sometimes that's not an option. So it's re-navigating what physical activity and coping skills we can use there, which we will definitely talk about, but just want to name that. But we really want to reconnect with ourselves. And it's not just in self care ways, it's also in academia ways. And when I say that, I mean the creative writing I spoke about earlier, or what's a new work project I can do, or if you don't work, what's a project I can do that feels good to me and like my passion thrives. In order to find that passion, I want you to find the thing that lights you up. Like you could stand on top of a box in the middle of your city center and be like, here is my business. And when that lights you up, you will know that that is what you need to put attention and time into because it's how you reconnect with yourself. So today, let's reflect on reconnecting with you and what lights your soul on fire. Because being a mom is incredible, but it can't be all of you because that is how we hit burnout. And it's not fair to you and we don't need to do it. And a lot of people will say that's a privileged mindset. And I hear that, but it's also a survival mindset. So let's tap in. A lot of times, too, like the practical steps, the practical tools of getting through the day. When it feels heavy and you're having mixed emotion on Mother's Day, and we really just need to go through the steps. Let's say you have traditions that you're just going to do because it's less energy to do them than to not, right? I want you to lower your expectations. If showing up is all you got, that's all you're going to do. If you can't show up, then we're going to communicate that and not show up. Lower the expectations, align with how you're feeling that day. Opt out of social media. Let's say you're a part of the narrative where, that isn't being included in Mother's Day. Don't go on social media. That's just going to hurt you. Unless you're on a very niche Reddit thread that has nothing to do with it, right? That just doesn't serve you. You're a part of this community, right? Who feels unheard or unseen on this day. Sometimes social can serve you when you're connecting with others or when you are like looking back on memories for those who've lost their moms specifically or were lost children before. Looking at those pictures can really be everything that day. So I don't want to say full hard stop, no social, but noticing when it serves you and when it hurts you. Choose one thing that actually feels good. So for me, right, I'm going to do my park date with my daughter, no questions. No one's going to mess with it. That's what I'm doing. So pick one thing. And it can be something as time consuming as a park date, but it can also be I'm going to lay in my bed for 15 minutes and no one can bother me and I'm locking the door. Or I'm going to take a shower and it's going to be an hour long or whatever. Or I'm going to get the lunch that I want or make the thing that I want. One thing, just one. And then I want to also give permission to treat Mother's Day like any other day. Don't do the traditions. You wake up, make it a normal Sunday, whatever your Sunday routine is, and don't even acknowledge it. That's okay too. You don't have to tap into the Hallmark things. Oftentimes we feel this pressure too, but we really don't. So choose if it serves you, great. And if it doesn't, next. Bye. Don't do it. So bringing everything together. Mother's Day is just one more place where we feel all the heaviness and we feel every hat that we're navigating at once. So, however, this day feels for you, light, heavy, somewhere in between, you're allowed to experience it honestly. And that's okay. Acknowledge the humans who you know are left out of this narrative. Prioritize you and what you actually need. Set your boundaries, or even just make it another normal Sunday. I want to invite y'all to share, what does Mother's Day really look like for you and how did it feel for you? Send me a DM or send me a hat rack submission, and let's talk through how your Mother's Day looked and if you implemented any of these things and if they served you or not. And also, if you have something that you implement every year, I'd love to hear it. That'd be awesome. So go post those in our Facebook community space or send me a hat rack submission or a DM. And I'd love to hear how your Mother's Day turned out using these tools and skills. And I hope that whatever your day is, that you get to prioritize you. Happy Mother's Day. And let's acknowledge all the hats that we're wearing today.